Jim. Our speaker today is Bob Martin. Bob played his high school basketball at Apple Valley High School, and then played for the Gophers from 1988 to 1992. He's been busy raising a family and doing a lot of things, but I ran into Bob during the Willie Burton. Bob was a part of that era and played, ran into him, and he agreed to come up and speak to us. So with no further ado, Bob, do you want to come on up here? If you look at him, it looks like he could play right now. The only dead giveaway is, like a lot of us, we just don't have as much hair as him. But Bob, thank you so much for speaking to the Dunkers, and tell us what's been going on since your days at the university.
I will do that. Thank you for having me as well, Paul. Can everyone hear me in the back? I grew up in Apple Valley. I've been talking to Paul on and off about this for a year and a half. Recently, I moved back from Arizona a year and a half ago. So I was out of the area, went to a few basketball games, hadn't been to one for 10 years until the Willie Burton issue, or the Willie Burton opportunity came up for his jersey retirement, which is incredible. I'll get to that in a moment. But a little bit about my background, and I can do some Q&A, I understand, at the end if there's any particular questions. I didn't start playing basketball until I was in 6th grade. I happened to be at the bus stop, and a guy named Tim Flynn, who happens to be the younger brother of Vince Flynn, who's a fairly prolific writer, said, "Hey, do you play basketball?" And Tim lived right down the street from me. And I said, "Well, I don't." And he said, "Well, somebody from our team just moved out of the area, is not going to be able to play anymore. Maybe you could take their spot." And I said, "Oh, I'll ask my mom and dad." And I was a tall kid, skinny, red hair, glasses. I'm like, I'll see if I can play. And anyway, so I asked my parents, and they said, "Well, sure." They talked to the coach, and that was again at 6th grade. And I'd never played basketball before. Shot baskets in a couple of front yards, back yards at the park, but I'd never played that up until that time. I get to practice, I get my jersey, get my game. We were the Pacers, that was our team name. And I had no idea, some might say I still don't have any idea, what to do. So establishing a pivot foot, what basket to shoot for, it was all brand new to me. What I learned, as we all do in life, I learned obviously effort, playing hard, the stuff that Klung years later told us to do, and got better, practice, as they say. A few years after I started playing, I didn't get off the bench until my sophomore year of high school, hardly. If we were up 20 or down 20, I got to play. But the football team, my sophomore year of high school, had some success, went to the state playoffs, and the basketball team was kind of depleted because a lot of the football players that play basketball were tied up with football. And so Paul Trevick, the high school coach, says, "Would you like to try out?" And I went from 6'4" to 6'7", about 170 pounds as a sophomore, tallest guy in the school, probably the skinniest as well. And I said, sure, I won't ask my parents, they obviously wanted me to play. So that's what I did. And I was pushed around a lot in practice and got toughened up. The first game I got to get out there as a sophomore, he says, "Mark, come on." So I get off the bench, I run over there, and I'm at the storage table, like, squatting down and take off my top, take off my bottoms. They just kind of rip off with the little buttons. And of course, as a dead ball, I stand up and I go to run on the court. And of course, the last two buttons of my right leg, we've all seen it before, different people. So that wasn't unique to me, but it was one of those things all of a sudden, like now I kind of blush a little bit. And I go out there, I'm like 15 feet, I'm like, what the heck's going on? And all of a sudden, everyone in the stands is laughing, and I feel that they're all looking right at me. Try to rip it off, toss it aside, and I got the ball, and I made my first basket after going with an 8-footer from the baseline. And all of a sudden, you just kind of get comfortable, and it just kind of made sense from there. But that experience got me to kind of realize a few things during my sophomore year, where I got some college letters from small, medium, and larger schools that heard about whatever or saw me, or maybe they didn't see me, that's why they wrote me. And it led to me obviously being where I am now, teaching, well, not teaching, but electing to go to school, getting scholarship offers. I visited a few schools, Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Colorado at Boulder. I thought about taking trips to like Florida and Honolulu or something like that, but I went to the U and decided on going to the U, which is where I wanted to go all along. And so that's what I did. 4 years, we went to the Final Eight, Elite Eight my first year. The final, so it was the Sweet 16 my first year, the Elite Eight my second year. My third year, we didn't do anything there. Didn't go to the tournament. And then as a senior, we went to the NIT, and I think we lost to Washington or Washington State my first game, so that kind of ended my career. So when I was done playing at the U, and again, as Paul alluded to, and as anyone that knows the program, there was a lot of good times, certainly those first couple years, as somebody who's actually physically there, and your former player knows that, all 4 years were awesome, and great memories, some good, some not as favorable, but just fun to look back. And as we had the Willie Burton jersey retirement, just seeing the guys, the gals that came with those guys, whether it's wives, girlfriends, kids. Caitlin in the basketball office, she's been phenomenal. And anyone that knows her, meets her, knows that she does a huge amount of work for the program, certainly during the season, and I anticipate during the off season as well. But just it's always great to see the guys, see the smiles, give a hug, everyone's doing fine, everyone's pretty healthy, and that's a huge thing. I got done playing in '92. I had the opportunity to be a free agent, so I did play a little bit professionally in the NBA, the CBA, in Puerto Rico. Went over to Europe for a little bit, but I had 2 knee surgeries in high school and 2 after college, so 4 total, all on my right knee. And I wasn't sure that either between that and wanting to have a future, being able to be active, I didn't know that playing basketball was going to make the most sense for me. And so after a few years, I stopped playing, went back to the university, had my employer was fortunate enough to pay for the rest of my schooling, and I graduated December 12th of 1998, and I enrolled the fall of 1988, so I was on the 10-year plan, but it was about 5 years. But it was a great time, great memories, and fast forward probably 12 years, I dated on and off, met my now wife. We've been married for 7.5 years. I've got my daughter Charlotte, she's 6, and she's in 1st grade. She's eating some whipped cream and strawberries. I don't think she wanted the strawberries, but I think you need something a little bit healthy. And I had my 50th birthday, as Paul, we kind of talked over there last October, and I kind of got my dad's hairline and height, but I'm trying not to have the burden, as Paul kind of alluded to of his weight. He was a big guy, 450 pounds and 6'10". He died when he was 68 in 2010. But his size, physical size, was always a burden to him, making it so he wasn't quite able to be as active as he wanted to be, possibly with his kids, or maybe he didn't want to be active, but that's what he did. And being, as I mentioned to Paul, I mentioned before, relatively speaking, an old dad to young kids, being fairly fit and staying on top of things physically and mentally, and trying to be a good example to her. She's got 2 younger brothers. William just turned 5, Jack is 3.5, and Jack at 3.5 is a little bigger than the 5-year-old, so he's going to be a big kid. And then my wife and I live in Lakeville, and we got 2 kids in school, one doing preschool, early preschool, and keeping us busy. But I work for AAA, I'm an insurance agent. I keep busy doing that. Raising my family and now speaking to a little audience and enjoying Gopher basketball. I watch it from afar. I've been to 1 game this year. That was the Willie Burton retirement game. I go to some St. Thomas games and some local high school games, typically at Apple Valley. I haven't been any this year though. But no, I love the game of basketball. I love what sports in general do for a person, physically, mentally, what the lessons that any athlete that sticks with something, whether it's a sport, chess club, an activity, learning, dedication, hard work, sacrifice, practice, those are things that I learned over the years, and it's true. And once you just kind of stick with something for long enough, you're going to get better, and you may not be the best, but you can be the best that you can be, and that's one of the things that I grow as a parent, try to share with my kids and my wife doing the same. So that kind of brings me here to today, and like I said, I'm looking forward to a Gophers victory. Any general or specific questions? I'm sure, Dave, you've got a few. On me or what's going on or my 2 cents?